Hey folks, happy Thursday to you. It is Thursday, December 2nd. We're continuing our FUMCCV devotional with our December prayer calendar. I remind you, you can pick these up in different places on campus, get them on the website through the prayer link. You can see different devotionals that some of our other staff are producing on Instagram and Facebook each day during the month of December. In December, we are dealing with these different names of God or of Jesus or the Christ, and today it is I am. I am. And it's from the book of Malachi, chapter 3. So find Malachi, and Malachi is the last book in the Old Testament. So if you make it into the New Testament, just keep going back until you get into Malachi. Let me remind you, as you're finding it, it's not the easiest book to find. It's only a couple pages long. But as you're finding Malachi, let me remind you, this is a prophet, very end of the Old Testament times. And the people have already returned from the Babylonian exile. And it has been 50, 60 years now that they've been sort of resettled in Jerusalem. And really what has happened is the people have strayed away from God, and in their religious life, it's kind of the religious sort of temple religion and whatnot has become profaned, and lots of sort of infighting about what's spiritual and what's not, and what's religious and what's not, and lots of exclusion of other people. And so they've really just taken this beautiful thing of the presence of God, and they've made it harder to reach, harder to hear. The religious leaders who are supposed to be bringing people to God have been isolating more people from God, and they're just kind of growing off the rails. And the prophet Malachi is not happy as he shares these prophecies of God. So Malachi chapter 3, verse 1. See, I am sending my messenger to prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant in whom you delight. Indeed, he is coming, says the Lord of hosts. But who can endure the day of his coming, and who can stand when he appears? Now remember, they're living in a time in which they believe that God is just. We would say that God is grace. We get what we do not deserve, and that is grace. But they understood God as being just. You get what you deserve. You do bad, you get bad from God. You do good, you get good from God. Well, he's talking to a bunch of people who have done bad for a long time. And so he's saying, who can stand? Because God's going to come with a vengeance. For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the descendants of Levi and refine them like gold and silver until they present offerings to the Lord in righteousness. Then the offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to the Lord, as in the days of old, as in former years. So the refiner's fire, right? Till the stuff of the ground, pull the stuff of the ground, you put it in the cauldron and you burn it, and all the impurities burn off. And then eventually when it cools, you look into that cauldron, and what you find is the purity of the gold or the silver. That's what the refiner does. And what the point that is being made here is that God is placing you in the cauldron and under the refiner's fire, and all of the bad is going to be burned off. What's going to be left? Is there anything of value that's going to be left, or have you soiled your souls? Verse 5, then I will draw near to you for judgment. I will be swift to bear witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, against those who swear falsely, against those who oppress the hired workers and their wages, the widow and the orphan, against those who thrust aside the alien and do not fear me, says the Lord of hosts. You see that list? They have been brutally taking advantage of all of the people who are in need. For I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore, you, O children of Jacob, have not perished. Ever since the days of your ancestors, you have turned aside from my statutes and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you, says the Lord of hosts. But you say, how shall we return? I think sometimes that we live our lives in this refiner's fire, that we're this pure soul that God sends into creation. And we put on this body and we live these lives and we go about our lives. And the goal is at the end of our lives that there's still something left of our soul. We haven't sold it for advancement. We haven't soiled it by caring for the wrong things and the wrong people. But we've kept a purity about us. So at the end of our lives, God says, oh, there you are. I recognize you. Come home. And here the prophet is talking to people who have had a very difficult time. And God says, here I am, here for you, and in this case, sitting in judgment. But I invite you to think about that refiner's fire, that your soul being refined, and that what matters is that there's some purity of soul left at the end of your life. This Advent is a season in which we prepare for our spiritual lives to grow, for that soul to grow, and for purity and God's purity to grow in us. So perhaps there's more of our soul at the end of Christmas than at the beginning. May it be so. God bless. Have a great day.